Good morning. Well, you all start off bright, early, and strong. I'm not singing. And it's a pleasure to be back here, my hometown, Chicago, South Side, 95th and Jeffrey. Give it up for the South Side. Again, my name is John Jackson, president of the Schott Foundation for Public Education. And Schott is a place where we believe that all students, regardless of race or ethnicity, deserve a fair and substantive opportunity to learn. Unfortunately, that is not the case in our country today. In our country today, education is divided by zip code. Education is divided by race or ethnicity. We're able to identify by race who's more likely to graduate, who's more likely to drop out, who's less likely to be in gifted and talented courses, and there's no way that that should be in our country today. A couple of weeks ago, the Schott Foundation published a report on the performance of black males in public education. And we focused on black males simply because we care about all students receiving an opportunity to learn. And we don't measure that by those who are just at the top, but we want to understand the conditions for those who are at the bottom. And in 30 of the 50 states, black males were at the bottom. And another 10 states, Latino males were at the bottom. And in the 30 states where black males were at the bottom, Latino males were second to the bottom. So we have an issue in the way that we're providing opportunities to learn to black and Latino males across this country. Now, the major challenge is we are at a point in our history where our country can't be globally competitive without addressing this equity issue. The president has said that if we are going to be globally competitive in the 21st century, we have to be a global leader in college attainment by 2020. How many of you all know that in order to do that, we need 23 million more graduates than our current rate? 23 million. That means that this country does not get there without graduating more black, brown, native, Hmong students across the country. So the answer to this has been a few education programs that are designed to only educate a few. Race to the top, a competition. At a time when all of the states are challenged, we have our states in a competition identifying winners or losers. How many of you all know if California loses, the country is a loser? If New York loses, the country is a loser. So we don't need a race at this time. We need a common agenda to lift all states, all students to create one America. And the Opportunity to Learn campaign is about that. We believe that it's based on three important values: that all students deserve an opportunity to learn as a matter of right, both a human and civil right. Now, it's not just enough to say that, but we have to operationalize that. What does that mean? We know what works, that all students deserve access to early childhood education, ensuring that they're literate by 3rd grade. That all students should have a highly effective teacher, and those teachers should be supported. How many teachers do we have in the room? Let's give it up for the teachers. Give it up. We can do better than that. If we were cheering for the Chicago Bears, the Pittsburgh Steelers, what have you, we could do better than that. Our teachers are under attack. Why? Because we know that there's a resource equity issue, but legislators don't want to criticize themselves, so they don't want to legislate themselves. It's hard and more difficult to legislate parenting in some situations, so the only people that we will blame are teachers. Students are coming into the classroom with challenges that teachers need the support to address. And our teachers are very important. God knows we need to have teachers because there are no laws to mandate seeing preachers, so someone has to teach them. And in many respects, our teachers are serving the gap. You know, I've had the opportunity to go to law school, University of Illinois here, and get my doctorate at Harvard, but I know that it was a teacher who made the difference. I remember I finished high school with a 2.5 on a 5-point scale. And I remember being in an English class and I wasn't doing well. The teacher was putting me out until one day I was walking down the hall and I was rapping. Said, I've been in this game for years. It's made me an animal. There's rules to this stuff, so I wrote me a manual, a step-by-step booklet. My teacher saw that. He said, come here. He said, if you can remember that, you can remember that no man is an island entire of himself, but every man is a piece of a continent, a part of the main. Thus any man's death diminishes us, for we are involved in mankind. Therefore never sin to know for whom the bell tolls. That teacher knew that I could understand a content of information, and it was a matter of drawing a bridge between what I respected and knew and what he wanted me to understand. That is the art of teaching. And we've got to support our teachers in that particular art. We've got to ensure that all students have access to college and career preparatory curricula. It's not an issue of saying, well, should every child go to college? There will be some that may not choose, but every child should have the opportunity to choose. It's the fact that you get to 11th grade and 12th grade, and many of our children don't have the opportunity to choose. And if our children are in educational institutions and they're not being educated, they're just being institutionalized. And that's what we're seeing across the country. And finally, we want to make sure that we are receiving equitable resources. And it's not just about more money, but targeting the money on what we know works. And in all of our states, we have this issue where the resources are not being equitably distributed. And we've got to call governors and legislators and others to task in order to protect the right for all students to learn, because it is a civil right. And in many respects, I said last night that we're back to a place that we were some 50 years ago. You know, in 1957 in Little Rock, Arkansas, there was a scene where Daisy Bates was desegregating Central High School. And she had allowed pushed through the mob and allowed the Little Rock 9 to enter the school, 9 black kids to enter the school. And there was an angry mob outside. And the people inside was fearful that the mob would get the children. And they asked the question, well, maybe if we give them one of the children, they'll let the others out. It broke down because they couldn't decide which child to sacrifice. I feel in many respects today we're in the same situation. There are those who will say, well, we recognize that there are a sea of challenges, but if we provide them a few schools to educate a few, they'll forget about the others that are suffering. We cannot accept that. We've got to develop a plan that provides all students an opportunity to learn. And I know that we have a sea of challenges, and each of us, sometimes it seems too large for us to address, but we all have a ship, we all have a voice. If we're willing to say that I'm tired of keeping my little boat safe inside the harbor's bar, I want to go out where the big ships float, out on the deep where the great ones are. And if my frail craft proves too slight for waves that sweep the billows o'er, I'd rather go out in a stirring fight than drowse to death in the sheltered shore. That's the commitment that we have to make. And as I take my seat, I just want to remind us of something that a little boy had to teach his father. The father was reading the story to the little boy, and the little boy asked, after the father completed the story and kissed him, said, "Daddy, can I have a glass of water?" Father said, "Son, it's your bedtime. Go to bed. You should have asked earlier. Good night." Father gets up, begins to walk out again. "Daddy, can I have a glass of water?" Father, a little more perturbed because it's bedtime. "I just read you this story, son. It's time to go to bed. You're not getting the water. Hey, if I have to come back in here, I'm going to spank you. Go to bed." Father gets back up, walks out the door, closes the door. Son says, "Daddy, when you come back in here to spank me, can you bring me a glass of water?" We have to have a level of persistence for this charge, because that's the only way that we're going to ensure that all children have an opportunity to learn. God bless you all.